Ready.
Hey, we're live and welcome cryptopreneurs. This is the editorial team from Crypto Trader News, and we are here with Tony and Matt and myself, Meredith. And today's discussion is, Tony, I'm going to send it over to you.
So today we're actually going to be talking about Bitcoin and Africa. We're going to be talking about how Africa. We're going to be talking about how how blockchain and crypto has been responding so far in underdeveloped places like probably the most underdeveloped place in the entire globe, which is Africa. And we're going to be without counting South Africa and all of these highly developed places within the worst developed place. Well, anyways, we're going to be talking about crypto, blockchain, and how Africa has been responding, how crypto could actually spice things up over there, how we could actually be improving things over there with the help of cryptocurrencies. I'm not so sure about whether Bitcoin is the ultimate solution, but definitely some sort of crypto. And so that's going to be today's schedule. We were actually just talking between the three of us that Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter and CEO of Square Payments, has just announced that he's going to be actually moving to Africa for like 6 months, right, Matt?
Yeah. It was 6 or 9 months. 6 is what's sticking in my head. I saw it on Twitter and I just kind of read through it real quick. But yeah, he was, and I didn't even see what his reasoning was for it. I just saw that he was talking about moving over there. And then Alan said something this morning that there's some negative feedback about this, that some people aren't overtly thrilled about him going to Africa.
Well, I don't personally care about why the guy is actually moving there. Well, I mean, or what personal reasons why people consider that it's a bad idea to actually physically have this guy move over there. But let's talk about the aspect of let's actually analyze why are today's currencies in countries or in the entire African continent not working. That's a very big, broad question, I know, but
you've got so many different countries within Africa. You've got so many different
very leaders. Tribal.
Yeah, you've got so many different leaders that are corrupt as all get out. And not everyone, but I mean, it seems almost every week you're hearing about somebody killing political rivals, just corruption left and right. And so that it's so much instability in the area.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, from being on community platforms that are blockchain based and they have a crypto aspect to them, things like Steemit, Whale Shares, Bear Shares, Tribe, things like that, you have a really big African community that are coming on board because they see opportunity for creating content and earning crypto for it. And it's also prevalent in places like Venezuela, where the country is in turmoil and people are going hungry. So they're turning to crypto as a way to pay their bills, buy food, and they're using it as a medium of exchange. So that's really sad in a way that they're going through that. But at the same time, it's really exciting for crypto because we're seeing it in real world use.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say another thing that I've noticed personally over just probably the last 6 months or so is, we've always seen a lot of scams come out of the African countries, but I am seeing a lot more of them geared towards cryptocurrency. They are not so much trying to, get the people from Craigslist for fake jobs and what have you. I mean, they still are, but there's a lot of them that are going after what they can as crypto because it is so much readily much more easily spent and transferred throughout the country. These groups that are spread throughout, they can easily transfer their funds around because of it's easier than the 5 different currencies for 5 different areas, 5 different provinces or territories or what have you. And so I'm seeing a lot more groups and even individuals that are pushing scams for cryptocurrency. And I've been around a long time. I always laugh at them and try to mess with them back. And so,
are you saying that that email from the Nigerian prince is not real?
No, and then now he's no longer give you.
Have you guys seen the TED Talk from this guy that actually responds back to spam email?
Oh my God, I love him.
He is hilarious. It's amazing. Anyway, going back to all right, so I'm gonna actually read a quote from CC, CEO of Binance. He posted this on Twitter yesterday, and it's actually interesting. Okay, only 11% of the people in Africa have bank accounts. But we no longer need to bank the unbanked. Let's just crypto the unbanked. Or, a simple app will do. Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody.
Whoa. Okay.
They can put it on an app. They can communicate with each other either through SMS or through an app. Everybody's got.
Let me ask you a question. And you probably don't have the answer to this, but what percentage of the African continent has a smartphone today?
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. I don't think it's that high. I mean,
I don't think it's low, but I'm not sure it's high either.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a big friggin' continent, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be they're not going to have that overcrowding like you find in Japan or even China with 2 billion people or however many people are there, so they're spread out. But I really believe that a lot of them have cell phones because maybe they can't afford a computer,
I think
don't know the banking, whether if they have these networks of communication, whether it's for banking for your finance or libraries, for education. I don't know these things, but I do know that the people that I communicate with who are from Africa and who are on these social sites, most of them are on cell phones all the time.
So go ahead, Matt. I keep interrupting you. Sorry.
No, you're okay. I was just going to say, you see news stories or documentaries, and there are, kids running around, that are barefoot and in just a pair of shorts, and they got a smartphone in their hand. But one thing I wonder too is, what is their infrastructure like for cell service in those areas? This is just kind of stuff that
okay.
The rural little town grandma, even, is she going to have access to a cell phone for an app for cryptocurrency? That I truly believe that crypto is the way to help the unbanked. But it's just a feasibility aspect, in my opinion, at this point.
So you both touched on some good points that I want to ask you about. First one, I think Disney did a lot of damage here because every time we think of Africa, we think of The Lion King and we think of Tarzan and we think of all of these, scenarios that don't really match reality. The truth is that a lot of people in Africa, live just like we live, today here in the US. It is true. It's the poorest continent in the entire planet. I understand that. But the fact that people still think that people in Africa are surrounded by lions and elephants and they're just, touring around with or going to school on top of an elephant, that's just unreal. That's not the case. So I would actually, I'm not so sure of the percentage of people that actually own a smartphone. I don't know if it's 80% or if it's 40%. It could be any of those percentages. There's no way for me to actually, and I don't even know if there's like an actual breakdown of the numbers. That would be an actual good question to research. Now, how hard is it to actually get a smartphone to all of these people? If, I think that the problem is so severe. Like all of these people are actually working for currencies that are so corrupt. They're governed by such corrupt governments that if they could actually work for currencies that actually the entire world saw value in, lives could be improved for sure. Now, how feasible, like you were saying, Matt, is it to actually hand out a smartphone to everyone in Africa essentially? How now? We don't need to be handing out iPhones. I understand that, but even if we go on the cheapest side, how feasible is it? Can someone in Africa afford a $50 smartphone?
Right. And I'm seeing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just like I'm sure that a $50 smartphone for most people in Africa is still going to be a huge investment.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that between a phone and eating, who's going to make that choice?
But what you were saying is actually true. I mean, for some of these people, it's actually easier to get their hands on a phone than it is to get their hands on water or food. Which it's such a dumb reality, but it's the true reality. I mean, I don't know. Kind of weird, isn't it?
I just did a Google search really quickly. Question, how many people in Africa own a cell phone? And what I found, it says here, and this is a report in July of this year, 91% of South African adults own mobile phones.
Yeah, so here's the thing: South Africa is
right. 51% owning smartphones, and the remaining 40% owning standard cell phones.
Yeah, but then you get sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah,
and I see where it says people with mobile phones outnumber those with electricity in their homes. So more people have phones, but basic mobile phones are more common than smartphones in sub-Saharan Africa.
Do you think you can buy Bitcoin with a traditional Nokia phone?
That's with text messaging only. Some of them have browser capability like Opera, the Opera browser. And if they have that, well, no, because you have to have apps for wallets and stuff. So I don't see how you could.
I'm pretty sure you can actually, I actually, Meredith, you and I know of a crypto project that wanted to try to actually make it easy for people to just buy crypto with text messaging capabilities.
They were using SMS messaging to send token.
Exactly. So I'm sure there would possibly be a way for people to get into crypto without even having to have an app somehow. I don't know how. I mean, I'm just speculating here, but anyways, let me just so I have this really good friend of mine. He is like the 20-year-old version of Peter Schiff. Okay, he hates crypto. He is like anti-crypto. He doesn't believe in it. He's pro-gold. He's a gold fanatic. Anyways, let me just say, so he saw that I actually liked the tweet from CC on Twitter, and this is what he had to say. Only like 30% of Africans own a smartphone. Plus, you need a bank account to buy and sell BTC, unless they somehow open up 1 million BTC ATMs in Africa. We barely have some here in the USA. Plus, they more than likely do not have the knowledge to use BTC. More people here in America don't even have the knowledge. And also, you can't really buy Bitcoin. I mean, you can't really use Bitcoin to buy anything. Thoughts?
He's pretty on target, in my opinion. That's another thing we talked about last week was, you can't just walk into your local Walmart or local grocery store and use Bitcoin to buy groceries.
So I'm going to argue here against you, Matt. You actually could potentially just walk into Walmart and pay off your receipt with a Coinbase card. I mean, Coinbase is handing out cards now that are linked to your Coinbase account.
That's one option, though, and I don't know how popular it is or how widespread use it is. It's a great idea. Trust me. Anything that's going to leverage or empower crypto users to be able to walk in anywhere and spend their crypto at the current market rate is going to, in my opinion, be big. But you're just still looking at how do you get the population of Africa on with those cards if they're only on flip phones. I mean, yeah, granted, there's ways to do it, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, so we can agree that there are ways to do it.
Oh yeah.
It's not a mission impossible here that we're talking about something that, we're not trying to we're not trying to freaking colonize Mars within next year. I mean, we're talking about something that could potentially happen, right?
Sure, and maybe that's why Jack's there. I mean, you've got an untapped market of people who need this. And so I think adoption would be very easy if, let's say, they do have a cell phone, a smartphone, and they say, you know what, here, download an app. Here's some token, whatever, Ether, whatever token it is. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. And by the way, that shop, I just signed them up. Go buy a cup of coffee or, buy lunch on me, And when they see the real world use for it and how easy it could be, I think it would be mass adoption on a really grand scale, because they're not banked, and it's very difficult. And you have a lot of people who are, we were talking about it earlier. You have a lot of countries, very tribal. They're against each other. But hey, you know what? If you can travel the continent with that token and buy stuff anywhere, why wouldn't they?
But how do you get the population, the majority of the population, to sign on with a cryptocurrency? I mean, they've been exploited. The regions have been exploited for hundreds of years, and they're still being to this day. We were just talking earlier, that Russia and China are both all over Africa, and they're trying to exploit for its natural resources. There's there's still feuds over blood diamonds. There's still all the stuff with oil. There's every national news, or international news, I should say. There's almost always something going on over there with warlords and this. And how do you get the population to trust cryptocurrency without them, thinking that this is some scam? I get this little diamond, or I get this piece of gold, and I can go and feed my family. But you're telling me you're going to give me a flip phone and that I'll be able to feed my family next week? I think the adoption portion of it would be harder than the technical aspect of it.
I think another aspect of that is the culture. You have to understand the culture before you can walk in and introduce something. So if it is tribal, you need to go to its leader, basically. And then once he knows and he sees, now he's either going to exploit his own people or he's going to share it with them.
I think it's the other way around. I think they already have a problem. I don't think we need to convince them very hard to sign on to this. I mean, this is a currency, a system that's being valued by the entire freaking world. I mean, there's people paying thousands of dollars for this currency. I don't think signing them on to this is the hard part. I think the hard part is actually making it easy for them to actually start using it. It's the technical part that's very hard. Not so much of course, you'd still have to educate them, and it's going to be tough. And, schools by nature are already pretty bad over there. But if we can actually show, people in Africa that, hey, there's a way out of corruption, and there's a way out of your fiat currencies that are only being, profitable for the guy sitting at the top of the ladder. I think, I don't think there's.
And you bring up a good point too. The younger generation, they're probably fully well aware of cryptocurrency, or at least have a basic understanding of what's going on. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't have their own smartphone or computer access, somebody within their group does, or within their town, and kids talk, and so I'm sure they have at least a basic understanding of what crypto is. But I still think getting them to see the personal value for moving to electronic currency over the local currencies could be a tricky. Now, approaching it in the right way would take all the trickiness out of it, because once you show these people that, hey, your money is going to be your money, and these politicians can't put their hands on it. They're not going to be dipping their fingers into your pockets, and it takes away the chance of a lot of the corruption that these people have lived with for generations. And then I think you're going to have, the light bulbs start going off, and they're going, wait a minute, not only can I get this money instantly when it's due, that I can spend it elsewhere, but then, I get to decide how it's spent. I don't have to worry about a warlord coming in and ransacking the town, or breaking in my home, or a neighbor coming in knowing that, hey, I made good money this week, and they come in and steal my money. So I do think that once the kids are on board, not kids, but they're kids to me now, the younger generation, once that they're on board, and then they can teach the older generation, they can show them that, hey, look, this gives us the power. This puts our independence back on us. Then I think you'll start seeing more adoption.
And having people like Jack over there is only going to help, in my opinion. I mean, if we can have the freaking CEO of Twitter over there actually teaching not just young people, but old people, or not old people, but more mature people, that there's a better option or better alternative, I applaud that.
Now, I think that for us, because we're kind of into it, that we kind of analyze Bitcoin and blockchain and cryptocurrency and things like that, where the average user, they don't care. They don't care how blockchain works. They just want to know that what they can buy, what's it worth, and what can I buy with it, and how can I make this easy? And if you dumb it down to that and just say, hey, you know what? I remember when debit cards came out, and I remember my father looking at it going, what the hell is this? I want to feel cash. And then cash, we still have cash in our pockets. We talked about this before. Some of us carry a little bit, for tipping or whatever, but for the most part, we use our debit cards. It's been adopted. It's a lot easier. If we lose it, we make a phone call and secure another one, right? Crypto, if we can make crypto that easy, where people are like, hey, you don't need to know about blockchain. You don't need to know how the underpinnings work, but you can buy this with it. This is what it's worth today. I think that will definitely make it a lot easier for anybody to adopt it.
And you bring up a good point, Meredith, because how many people understand how actual fiat money works? Most people, if you ask them, they still think the United States is on the gold standard. That that our dollar, for every dollar we have, there's a dollar's worth of gold in Fort Knox.
Yeah,
and and that's true. I've talked to people, and they don't realize what fiat is based on. And so, telling someone, look, you don't have to understand blockchain and what's going on. That's a good point. They don't.
Yeah, it's like electricity. You don't need to know how it got to your house. You just need to know that it turns your lights on when you hit the switch. It's basically that.
But a big
and wait, what Meredith is saying, making it easy, I think she's totally right. She's on point. But I think it's still a 10-year industry. With a little more time, I'm sure it's going to keep getting easier and easier and easier. How long did it take? Well, of course, we didn't have the internet, so it probably took us a big chunk of time to actually get debit cards, credit cards, all of these e-payments system set up. But, I think it's just in a short period of time, I think we're going to see things completely explode and evolve. And it's just going to become easier and easier with time.
Well, and I definitely think you're right that it's coming, because with Jack going into Africa, you've got Russia making a very strong presence all over Africa, China the same way. And so people are realizing that, yes, of course, there's the natural resources that have always been there, but there's also the natural resource of the people, and of bringing them a better quality of life, of enhancing their overall quality of life. And there's a lot of opportunity there. And with striking now, if Jack is to get in there and he does things right, I definitely don't want to see Zuckerberg move to Africa at this point. He's just not kind of got the good name anymore.
He's gonna have to, though. I feel like he's gonna get kicked out of the U.S. very soon.
Or run out.
Anyway, so to wrap it up, let's just say true or false to these statements that I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. Only like 30% of Africans own a smartphone. Can't really say if it's true or not. I think it's false.
Yeah,
I can't really, put all my crypto in it, but I think
we have to research that one.
Yeah. You need a bank account to buy and sell BTC unless you have a BTC ATM around you.
True.
Well, actually, it's not even true. It's false. I can just buy Bitcoin from someone, right?
Sure.
Well, yeah.
So I could, if Meredith is by me,
like local
without a
Bitcoins.
smartphone, how are you going to have your own address or your own wallet? How are you going to get the Bitcoin?
well, assuming that I have a smartphone, I can buy the Bitcoin from someone. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have to I don't have to have a bank account or a Bitcoin ATM by me. If with a smartphone, I can buy the Bitcoin from someone. It doesn't need to be a bank or an ATM. Assuming that I have a smartphone, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
We barely have some ATMs here in the USA. I would say that's false. I think they're starting to be more around. I mean, I can tell you that in Orlando, there's quite a few Bitcoin ATMs. Not sure about your area, guys, but okay. They more than likely do not have the knowledge to use BTC. Completely true, in my opinion. But that's just a matter of spending some time and educating yourself. I mean, come on, you're not curing cancer here. I mean, it's not really that hard to educate yourself on how to use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And just
I think it takes one friend to tell another friend who tells three more friends, and I think it'll catch like fire.
a quick point, Tony. I just researched it. As of June, there's 5,000 Bitcoin ATMs worldwide.
5,000 Bitcoin ATMs.
Yep. U.S. has more than half at 3,229.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
so we definitely need to see a bump in there. But I mean, I'm still, of course, there's probably going to be between 1 and 5 ATMs in Africa right now. But hell, no one's using crypto right now. Pretty much no one knows about crypto in Africa. Or it's starting to become more and more popular, particularly with all of these people invading Africa and just spreading the word about Bitcoin and all of this crap. But yeah, most people here in America don't even have the knowledge or aren't knowledgeable about Bitcoin or crypto.
In the U.S. or in Africa?
And in the U.S., yeah.
I think mainstream media even in the local news, I hear about Bitcoin every once in a while, So I think it's becoming more mainstream, and people are, maybe it's in their consciousness, and it's up to them to actually pursue it. But I think a lot more people know than those who don't.
Think that if we were to ask 10 people in the US, like 10 random people in the middle of the street, have you ever heard about Bitcoin? 8 would say yes. Yeah. And out of those 8, 6 would probably say, yeah, it's a way of speculating or trading or something. And the remaining 2 would actually see the value behind Bitcoin. I think that's the ratio, more or less, that I would say. But I'm pretty sure most people in the US by now have heard the term Bitcoin at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I don't know all the countries in Africa, but just looking real quick, South Africa has 7 Bitcoin ATMs. Zimbabwe has 1.
I think that Zimbabwe is in a serious need of some Bitcoin right now.
Right, and like I said, I don't know geography well at all. Uganda has one, so I might not even be
I
listing.
mean, one Bitcoin ATM, even if there were one Bitcoin ATM in each country in Africa, it's still pretty freaking
Right.
miserable. I mean, these countries are huge, so
Exactly.
And finally, just to wrap it up, you can't use Bitcoin to buy anything.
Not true.
That's false.
Completely false.
Yeah,
That's
all you have to
probably
do
the
is look at
biggest.
Craigslist. You can buy a house with Bitcoin.
Not even Craigslist. I mean, not even Craigslist. Like seriously, just hook up your bank to Coinbase, and you can buy crypto, and you get a Coinbase card. I mean, I think it's free to get a Coinbase card, and you can just spend your crypto anywhere where Visa is accepted. It really isn't. It's not true. You can literally pay for your grocery today with crypto.
But would you?
Do you want to be the cause of a new Bitcoin pizza day?
Would you?
I'm not. I wouldn't be using it. But that's me. I buy and I'm trying to accumulate. So
I mean, it really depends. If you keep all of your wealth in crypto, then you're gonna have to obviously spend crypto. If you keep some crypto and some fiat, then of course you're gonna probably spend fiat and not touch your crypto.
Well, then that would be a conversation for another, or a topic for another conversation. Is, are the mass majority still holding and purchasing crypto as an investment, or are people getting it to use it as a means of currency?
I think that would be a great Twitter and Facebook poll.
Yeah, actually, instead of just us discussing it, you're right. That would be something to bring.
Let's actually do it. Let's do a poll, and next Wednesday we can actually discuss the results.
Yeah,
there we go.
Would be cool.
All right. Well, I think this is a good time to wrap it up, guys.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for joining.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Boom.